Good evening, our listeners. Welcome back from a very long break of our GCIC Citizens Baraza. Today we welcome you back. I'm your host Magezi Chirinju, and I welcome you back with a very important topic we are going to discuss today, where the president is involved a lot. Even as we speak, he's involved directly. We are going to be discussing the parish development model program throughout the country to see why it was set up, how it is going, and what is its future prospects. With me to discuss this topic is the Public Relations Officer at the Secretariat of PDM, that's the Parish Development Model Secretariat, Mr. Sylvester Nyombi Egumire. You are welcome, Mr. Nyombi. You can first say how are you to our listeners.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Good evening, the listeners. I'm happy to be here. My name is Sylvester Egumire Nyombi, and I work as the Public Relations Officer at the Parish Development Model Secretariat. I'm extra excited to be here because, as you have introduced, that this is the first time in a very long time that the Citizen Baraza is being hosted. I'm glad to be that guest for this occasion. For the Parish Development Model Secretariat, we are a coordinating entity for the Parish Development Model because, as we may know, this is a whole of government approach. So the different arms of government, the different MDAs are all involved, and our role is to make sure that they are in line with delivering governance and service delivery through the parish as the epicenter.
Actually, interestingly, many people, including myself, I have to admit, we did not know that the PDM had a secretariat. And now that we know and you are the spokesperson, we are happy to have you. First, let us first know what the parish development model means. Yes. A Ugandan out there who has just come back from USA, from Canada, he has settled up country, he wants to be a farmer, he wants live a normal life. And here there is a program, a government program called Parish Development Model. What should that person understand?
I think the keywords here are in the name, Parish Development Model. We look at developing, growing, improving the quality of life in a parish, and using this as something that other programs can look at to further create that same development at different levels. So the idea of the parish development model is that the parish is the last mile unit of governance. What that means is below the parish, all the offices that are held below the parish are elective. There are people who contest to be voted, for example, the LC1. However, for the parish chief, the person who heads the parish is appointed, is a government worker, is appointed by government. So the parish is the last unit, the lowest unit of governance. So we think that when a parish is developed, if all the parishes are developed, there is a direct contribution to the national development. But this is better because it promotes decentralization. It brings the power back into the hands of the people. So basically, when you look at parish development model, it is us giving the people power to develop themselves and, in the end, to develop the country. That is the surface. Before we go into the technicalities, I think, as we shall.
Okay, thank you. As other Ugandans may know, PDM is also part of Uganda's Vision 2040. It is it envisages a Uganda which is no longer a peasant economy where people are in the money economy. It's also part of the National Development Plan 3, where we look at having inclusive growth, we look at employment and sustainable wealth creation. Now, how does you as a secretariat? How are you? Which methods are you using to eradicate poverty? How you are deploying the PDM itself? Which methods are you using to deploy it so that it is effective?
Sure. First, I think I'll just rewind shortly to the factors we need to consider when you're looking at the development of the parish. As a country, we have a lot of reliance on agriculture, and if we are going to think about the money economy, we need to think of the money economy, but with agriculture as our backbone. And then secondly, there is the component of decentralization, which means that it would be not very effective for all the governance to happen only at the center. However, if the governance is delivered into the hands of the people to do it themselves, as the NRM manifesto usually suggests, I think we look at moving faster. And then there is also the aspect that there are people, a percentage of the population we know to be in subsistence. Currently, that number has come down to 33%. I think when OWC was instituted in 2013, that number was around 68%. But when PDM was launched in 2022, that number was 39%. So if you check our bio online, we are talking about moving the 39% of the population in subsistence to become players or active actors in the money economy. So those three factors, the idea of decentralization, the idea of moving people from subsistence to money economy, and the idea of us being an agro-reliant society, speak a lot to why the PDM is in place. So when we are going to think about moving the 39% of the population into the money economy, it means that there are very many surrounding factors that need to be also put in place. For example, market access, for example, education and literacy, for example, finances, capitalization and financial literacy. People need good health. There is no way you're going to move people into the money economy if they're not alive, if they're sick. People need good leisure. People need access to digitization because this is where we are moving. So all those things are part of the PDM. However, for this manifesto period of 2021 to 2026, the starting point was to capitalize the 39% so that they have the money that can enable them to do money generating activities. And that is just one pillar of PDM, which is called financial inclusion. And one of the aspects is to put money into their hands. Now, for that to happen, people had to be mobilized into PDM circles. There were already many existing circles in our communities, but PDM circles had to be formulated, and those are a circle per parish. So we have 10,594 gazetted parishes, and each of them has a PDM circle. So that circle is capitalized with 100 million shillings every financial year until 2026. The idea is that this money will be available for the members of the circle, 100 members each financial year, to borrow 1 million shillings each, use it for 3 years, and be able to pay it back within those 3 years, so that somebody else can borrow it at an interest rate of 6% per year. I think that's the lowest borrowing rate across the country. And so for now, that's why we've put a lot of focus, and we have built the structures around it. The circles are in place with executives. We have parish development committees that are monitoring these circles' performances, and the circles have loans committees that review the people who are requesting for these loans, appraisal committees that approve that these activities for which they're requesting the money for are actually ideal, and the people are receiving this money and using it adequately, as we have seen in the presidential tours currently. I think it was Mr. Patrick Kedi that really caught my eye. He's a gentleman from Katakwi village in Kangando parish in Butebo district. He received this 1 million shillings, and his story is really there for us all to see on the internet, how he has been able to multiply all this broiler chicken for eggs and what his projections are. For example, until December 2024, he said he's looking for having around 2,000 birds. And that's the kind of story we want to put out. Yes.
Speaking of good stories, the president is, I think, has been in that region of the east,
yes.
Bukedi region, and I think he's there to look for those stories. Is the one you're mentioning within Bukedi, or it's out?
Yes, it is in Bukedi.
So there is a possibility he passed by the gentleman?
Yeah, he did. I think we had run the story of Mr. Patrick Kedi earlier around June this year. And I was very happy that when the president moved with the State House team, they also managed to meet this person and interview him. And the best part was that what we collected was the very same thing that he also delivered to the State House team. This story has been up, it has trended on X. And I don't know if it has been in the news, but it was on UBC at the time that I mentioned. Plus, other beneficiaries and others we shall see in other regions in the country, because for sure these people are there. These are real stories, authentic stories, people mentioning that indeed PDM came to them when they needed it. Personally, there are some stories that I found to be even more compelling than that. There is a gentleman, I hope the president will meet him, he's in Chibuku district. It's called Moses Mulwani. And for Moses, he had a fish pond already available, but he was looking for the capital to put fish fingerlings in it. And when he got this money through the parish revolving fund, he managed to start his catfish business. And he also has very exciting projections. And there are so many of these all over. So Bukedi is just, the people who speak good English call it just a microcosm of what the whole country is having. And I hope Ugandans will be paying very keen attention to see these stories.
It's refreshing to hear that, many times we get government people cooking, data and present it to the president.
Yeah.
It will be very good if the president finds the data you have given him is actually on ground, or even better. By the time he reaches that, has improved, and Ugandans are doing very well. You spoke of PDM pillars, but you spoke about one.
Yes.
How many are they? And probably you could speak about one, explain a bit of it, then another one, so that people also understand some of these pillars on which you operate. So far, doing well more.
Yes, that's true. So, as I had mentioned earlier, that this is the whole of government approach. It means all the government agencies have to deliver through the parish. They have to deliver their mandate through the parish. So we have 7 pillars. I will try to say them as simply as possible. We have a pillar on production, agricultural production, processing, and marketing. That is pillar 1. It is led by the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. And then we have pillar 2, which is the pillar on infrastructure. It is led by Ministry of Works. And pillar 3 is on financial inclusion, which I think I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, the one you talked about.
Yes, Ministry of Finance. Then we have pillar 4, which talks about social services, things like schools and hospitals and churches and all that. That is under Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education.
I see mindset changes. That one is under what?
That is pillar 5. I was coming to that one.
Okay.
That one is actually called community mobilization and mindset change.
Oh, okay.
So it is, you may have seen some of the feedback that has come from the people about PDM. They're saying, surely only 2,000 chicken is what, after all this time, is what the government is giving us, and yet the person who's saying he has 2,000 chicken now, probably 2 years ago, didn't even have a single bird.
Didn't have one.
So we need this mindset to be adjusted for people to appreciate that these are baby steps. Even when the government is going to offer help, it's not going to come and give you a poultry house with 100,000 chicken. We have to start somewhere. And that's the mindset we need to develop, and in turn, mobilize the communities. After adjusting the mindsets, mobilize them to be part of this program. So that is pillar 5, and it's led by Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Then the remaining 2 pillars, one of them is pillar 6. It's very important. It is called the Parish Development Management Information System. So that one is about digitization. It is where we are keeping a lot of data. It is how we have registered all the people, the beneficiaries we have, their names, their NINs, their business plans are uploaded up there, their locations, we know all our people, and this is through the PDMIS. It is also through this, in conjunction with pillar 3, that money is being given to the people to cut out the middleman who carries the money in the sacks and hoodwinks Ugandans. The money goes through a system that's digitized. And the final pillar is the one that's espousing the Secretariat. It is the pillar of governance and administration. It is led by Ministry of Local Government, and it is the one that's in charge of the parish development committees, the appointment of the parish chiefs, housing the Secretariat itself, and making sure that governance structures and administrative structures are in place for PDM to run seamlessly. So those are the pillars on which PDM stands. And all of these are working concurrently, because every day we are having roads being built in this country. Every day we have health centers coming up. Every day we have schools, UPE schools being rehabilitated, and this benefits the parishes. So they are also delivering, although our focus, as I mentioned earlier, is still on capitalizing the Ugandan in the 39%, because PDM is for everyone. So, but want that this 39% stop being a burden for the other 61, that they can also be able to fend for themselves, be in the money economy, pay their taxes, and lead to development as a whole. Yes.
Speaking on the pillar of governance and administration, I read somewhere, especially when you were beginning, that the Minister of Local Government had not appointed some chiefs in some districts.
Yes.
And so dragging the committee, the committee structures that on which you people actually used to deliver this model to work.
Yes.
Have they managed to go through the whole country and appointed these people you need?
Yeah. Parishes that were gazetted, the ones that were recognized, all managed to get a parish chief. The challenge, I think, was not so much towards appointment, it was more to parish chiefs living in different parishes from the ones where they were appointed. And I think that's a normal thing, because even here you find that you can be given a job in Kampala, but you stay in Wakiso or Mukono. So the parish chiefs were staying in different parishes, and that was a challenge, because we needed the parish chiefs in the parishes where they've been appointed. You find that somebody was born here, he does his work here, but has to migrate and sleep somewhere else. So to combat that, the government created policy that parish chiefs will receive a subsidy of 100,000 shillings for housing, so that they can be residents in the parishes of their appointment. And I think that took effect last year, and it has been moving well. But beyond even the parish level, we have the level called the higher local government, where we have the district level, the district leadership. For this, the Minister of Local Government last year, together with the Minister of ICT, gave out laptops, gadgets to the chief administrative officers, who are the permanent secretaries at the district level, the accounting officers, so that they can be able to monitor PDM activities, especially regarding the money. So I think that pillar of governance and administration, just like the others, has already demonstrated that it's really in full force. Yes.
Now, you spoke of a revolving fund. I think that's what made you people opt for SACCOs. Was it part of the initial setup of PDM, or it was, its work was seen after you have tested the ground?
No, it was really already there. But the thing was, earlier there was freedom of choice on your repayment period, and also freedom of choice on the amount you got from the revolving fund. Yes. Okay. What was constant was the interest of 6% per annum, and the fact that you had to repay. Those were always constant. So in the start, you found, because our people have different business capacities and different interests, you would find people who requested for loan amounts for as low as 300,000, and they would justify this by saying, I cannot be able to pay back, say, 1 million shillings. So then the guideline that was moving was saying that you can borrow any amount of money as long as it does not exceed 1 million shillings. Then we realized that there were some corrupt elements who would come and say, Nyombi, you have requested for 300,000, but the guideline says you do not have to exceed 1 million. So me, as the person who's going to process your loan, I'm going to give you 1 million. You take your 300,000, you give me my 700,000. When the 3 years are done, or when the 4 months you've chosen are done, you will pay back the whole million. Yeah, so now the challenge was that these were people who had not interacted with money in a very long time, and they were thirsty to receive the money. So many of them took up such shoddy deals, and it was really not good for the average Ugandan to be put in a situation where they're burdened with a loan that they've not consumed. So that and other factors considered, Cabinet came up with a policy and said that everybody should receive 1 million shillings, no more, no less. Reason being that now, on top of the 1 million, now we know there is nothing like you have written for 1 million and you got 300,000. Now we know whoever applies for 1 million gets the million. So the cabinet also added that since now everyone's getting 1 million, we are going to extend the repayment period. So you do not have to say, I'll pay back my 1 million in 4 months or 6 months. Now you have 3 years for you to be able to pay it back, of which the first 2 are a grace period. So that means in those 2 years, you are not expected to pay any money back. If anybody comes to you and asks you to pay that money, you can even take them to police. You are not expected. But it is in the 3rd year, in the last 12 months, where you are expected to clear it. So with 3 months, the idea was that if you've got 1 million and you felt you did not have the capacity to pay back 1 million, then simply reinvest it, and it grows over these 3 years. By the time they are done, if you're somebody with a clear business plan, you should have the capacity to pay back that money. And then someone else can come and request for that money. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. The 500 million given to a SACCO, because it is 100 million per year for 5 financial years. So the 500 million that's given to the SACCO does not leave this SACCO to come back into the central government coffers. It remains in the SACCO accounts. So in that way, you have sort of created a parish bank with 500 million shillings capital on its own. Now, when people pay back with 6% per annum, that means this money is generating more and more. So probably in 5, 6, 7 years, you're looking at a parish bank that has close to 1 billion shillings in its coffers, and it can be able now to capacitate even more than 100 people at a given period of time. So that is the focus, that is the vision, and I think so far we are moving well.
That would be a very good idea. I don't know. However, I don't know whether the parishes have capacity or to handle such money. Or periodically you monitor them. Yeah. The bigger they grow, the more involved you guys come in.
No, the Ministry of Trade, first of all, monitors these SACCOs. They are registered under the Ministry of Trade. So does the Ministry of Finance that gives them the capital. But remember, we started from baby steps here. We had a SACCO that had only 100 million. So usually when a SACCO reaches, let's say 1 billion shillings, then the registration now moves probably to Bank of Uganda. You see? So it has now moved from just a SACCO to probably a tier 2 or 3 or 4 bank, something of the sort. And then it is required to have structures that you are not just going to have a SACCO chairperson, you are going to be required to have a manager here. You're going to be required to hire staff. But that is all in the future. At this level, though, I'm sure that for the 500 million, the SACCO has the capacity to handle. The SACCO executive can be able to run this with the supervision of the PDC and the district local governments that are there. If those structures were to fail, of which they cannot, then the central government structures can also move in. We have already seen State House Anti-Corruption Unit, for example, that has been swinging in from time to time to curb extortion and fraud. We have already seen Ministry of Finance going down to re-educate people. Of late, they have been doing a lot on Zoom, re-educate people about how to run these systems and how they can handle their finances. And we have also seen that Ministry of Local Government constantly holds meetings with the COWs, the local government leaders and the LC5s, so that they can re-evaluate the progress and pick learning lessons that can be put in place for better implementation. So as we go forward, I think we will always keep teaching ourselves from what we are doing, and we will be improving.
You have almost answered what I was going to ask you next, whether your confidence in terms of solving these middlemen and extortionists among our less educated population, because you have a senior 6 dropouts who understands these things. They can go in the villages and disorganize them. I'm happy you are doing progress. How are you feeling about the progress on that part especially?
Yeah, for sure. There is the aspect of functionality of the structures of PDM, which is without doubt evidenced in what we have done so far. However, there's also the aspect of criminality in the nature of Ugandans, that somebody is simply a criminal. So even when the structures are good, you'll still find that criminals, because criminals always also think, they are very quick thinking individuals. So they always look for ways of bypassing these structures. But we have a very strong police force. I have had people say whatever they want about our police force, but I have seen our police force come in. And we also have good support from other units like the State House Anti-Corruption that I mentioned earlier. But we also have structures at the district, like a district security officer. We have the RDC, who is in charge of security matters as well, and who is representing the president at the district.
Yes.
From time to time, people raise these concerns, and I continue to urge Ugandans, for every channel you have, be it online, be it through a phone call, be it walking to the district, be it finding your parish chief, to report these cases. Please go ahead and report them, because unless they are reported, we cannot do anything. If you have been extorted, you have to raise this issue. Our part is to constantly remind people that PDM is free for you. You do not have to pay money to be enrolled as a beneficiary of PDM. It is free as long as you're Ugandan, who qualifies with your national ID, and who demonstrates that they are in the 39%. So nobody should ask you for that money. But in case they do, before you give them that money, go ahead and report this individual. We have a number of Ugandans who are capable of taking up those jobs. So those people who are extorting and defrauding Ugandans, they can easily lose those jobs, and we put more straight individuals, because at the end of the day, we want people who can think about national development before they think about the self. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I may extend my thanks to the police, whom you have said they are doing a good job for you.
Yeah.
Thank you, the police. We have had the other, wealth creating programs, initiatives by the president and the government, like Emioga, Bonaba Gagawale, and the others like Youth Livelihood Fund. What did the PDM learn before they entered the field themselves?
Yeah. And
how did they end up? What changes were made, having benchmarked on the previous programs?
True. For that, I think there are 2 points that I look at here. One is what the president mentioned even when he was in Bukedi, that he mentioned this during the launch in 2022, that we have put many programs like this in place, but because the government hand was there, even in OWC, that the government hand was there, that the government officials are the ones saying, get the seedlings, so and so gets the money. This time with PDM, the government is the one at the parish. It is the PDC, it is the PDM circle. It's the president who said that.
Yes.
And I think that was a key identifier, that unlike others prior, this one is decentralized to the very last mile of governance. Then secondly, I think, was the aspect of digitization. That a loan can be processed through the system from the time someone applies for it to the point where the money is disbursed into their bank account or to their mobile wallet. It is a seamless digital process. There is not so much manual involvement, paperwork and all. The system is there. It registers the beneficiary all the way to the end. I think that is also a key learning curve for us. But the other one would be the fact that it looks at the agricultural value chain, and anybody who participates in the agricultural value chain at any node can be a beneficiary. So what do I mean by that? A farmer who plants maize is on the agricultural value chain. So is a maize miller. So is a shopkeeper who sells posho. So is a restaurant owner who mingles it and sells it to the final consumer. So all these people can benefit from PDM. And it is very, very focused, that it is for anyone who wants money under PDM has to be in the agricultural value chain. Anybody who wants money for anything else, say washing bay, tailoring business, mechanics, there are other programs for them, such as the ones you have mentioned. So I think those are the differentiating factors, although the goal is still the same. The goal is still to develop Ugandans, to develop our country, and to enable our individuals to be self-sustaining and active players in the money economy. You
spoke of digital monetization, where money moves through in less hands, at least to avoid a lot of handling and then stealing, which entices people to steal. There is something I saw as if PDM is using it with especially with Post Bank. Something called Wendy.
Yes.
Do you understand what it's all about?
Yes, I do.
You can please share, because I've heard it, but I've not understood what it means.
So Wendy is a product, but the cabinet decision is a mobile wallet developed by government banks. So this comes in place because even when we are digitized and we are giving the money to the people in their bank accounts, there were challenges still of long queues, for example, at the banks. There are challenges of the challenges of long queues at the banks. There's challenges of distance from people's homes to the banks. So to reduce that, we realized that, and this was a survey done by Ministry of Finance, that the highest growing aspect of digitization is the mobile phone. So whether someone has a smartphone or a USSD feature phone, they can be able to access money. That was a fact that everybody realized. For the banks, earlier I saw the Deposit Protection Fund had recorded a surge in bank accounts from 2022 to 2023 by over 100% plus. I don't know if that makes sense. There were about 2 million registered bank account holders in this country, and then there's a surge of like up to 14 million. But then even such numbers were still dwarfed by how many Ugandans had access to mobile phones. So that survey is what informed the decision that to curb the lines and the distance, we could venture into something mobile related. And that is where Wendy, the wallet, came in. And it is through Wendy that money has been disbursed in the financial year of 23-24. So SACCOs have their accounts on mobile phones that are managed by the SACCO executive, and individuals have their also Wendy accounts where they can have the money sent to them. Then they can withdraw it through the Wendy agents or through the telecom service providers that we have. And instead of lining up at the bank and all that, you just access the money through your phone.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. That is very interesting. Because I saw it, I was like, I need somebody to explain to me. Yes. Now, I wanted to ask you, the president is moving around the country. He has been in Bukedi region. He's probably going, I don't know where he's going. Is the secretariat part of his tours?
Yeah. Being PDM, surely all arms of government are there, but so is the secretariat as a coordinating entity. The national coordinator has been there, so has the deputy, and some members of staff. They were there in the advanced teams, and they have been with him in these tours. I think prior to, it should have been on Friday, where the opinion editorial from the national coordinator ran in the New Vision, and he was sharing his opinion on how he believes that the presidential visits are going to provide a platform for deep and meaningful conversations on PDM, not just from the suit and tie people, but from even the people the president calls the wananchi. So people have come out to attend these rallies, to give feedback, to talk, to converse, because at the end of the day, we can't just sit at the center and be comfortable with what's happening. So the secretariat is involved in such a way. We have people there on the ground, yes, but even before, in fact, personally, I wouldn't feel bad if the secretariat was not part of these tours, because our role has been done before. What the president is seeing now is evidence of what we've been able to coordinate up to this point. And I think from what I've seen from his X account, because me, I'm really big on X, what I've seen from his X account, I think he's happy with the progress. I believe the public sentiment is also a reflection that they're also happy with the progress, challenges notwithstanding, and we keep improving.
Where are we likely to be going next? After Bukedi region?
I think it should be between Teso and Karamoja. I'm not so sure which of the two, but either Teso or Karamoja, we should be going there. And I think we've also seen the statistics of PDM so far. We've seen how much money has been disbursed, how much money has been capitalized. GCIC has been posting this all over the internet. So I think even the public is aware of the progress. It's not just the president tracking in Bukedi, but even the public is able to see this.
Thank you, Mr. Gumire. Yeah. And it's time to let in the public. In the next 2 minutes, we shall have the live public and then continue the conversation.
All right. Look forward to it.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.